This is Haddon Hall, an ancient monument from a vanished age. Here in Derbyshire's Peak District, this extraordinary manor house is trapped in time, exactly how it used to be during the reign of Elizabeth I in the year 1590.
Is there another French gammon out there?
Today, a remarkable project is about to take place. Without the use of modern conveniences, a group of historians and archaeologists will prepare a Tudor feast as it would have been over 400 years ago.
Utterly stunning.
Tudor version of ironing.
They'll wear clothes from the period, source food from the land,
Shit, spot on.
and use recipes from the era.
5 udders. Now that's a little more unusual.
They'll be turning the clock back to rediscover a way of life from an age gone by. Standing on a 3,000-acre estate in the Peak District and uninhabited for over 3 centuries, Haddon Hall has survived wars, changing fashions, and family misfortunes. Now, a group of experts will breathe new life into the heart of the house. They'll step back in time to recreate a Tudor feast using only the resources available in 1590, the year the house was completed. This was a time of huge social change, when new worlds were discovered and new tastes were emerging.
This was England working out where it is, what it wants to do, what its place in the world's going to be. It has a choice, it's broken away from Rome and from the rest of Europe. It's time to go for it, and it does on every sense. The architecture, the art, and the food, the sudden exploration of the world, finding out what's out there and bringing all that produce back. It must have been an exciting time to live.
Marc Meltonville runs the historic royal kitchens at Hampton Court, where he regularly cooks using old Tudor recipes.
This is quite a challenge. We've got a tantalising glimpse of what we think we should do. You've got the most ambiguous of recipes to work from. You have a cookery system which works on fires, so how on earth can they tell you how long to put it in the oven for? These ovens are stone, so no one gives you any timings for the ovens, for the roasting, for the boiling. They'll just say, cook until done. So in every recipe we're going to use, there's probably 20 ways of doing it.
With none of today's labour-saving devices, the team will need all their knowledge and skills to cook food from the period using only surviving recipes.
Dress the peacock with all his feathers in such sort that when it is enough, it shall seem to be alive.
Ruth Goodman is an historian specialising in the domestic practices of the period.
We're going to be trying to do both the centrepieces, all the sort of visual, pretty things on the table, and also a variety of dishes and all the sauces and flavours. And we're also going to try and serve it in a Tudor way.
Archaeologists Hugh Beamish, Alex Langlands and Peter Ginn, nicknamed Fonz, will supply much of the labour in the kitchen.
Don't all Tudor feasts have boar's head with an apple stuffed in it?
Well, we could have, couldn't we?
Could do a boar's head.
I mean, have you had to walk around this place?
Oh, yeah, I've seen on the crest, the boar's head on the crest for the family.
Yeah.
Peacocks and boars.
Yeah, peacocks and boars. They're everywhere, aren't they?
So we've got a boar and a peacock, definite.
It's got to be posh, expensive, exotic ingredients, time-consuming things. Everything that makes the diners realise that this is the place to eat.
Turning theory into practice. Over the next 3 days, our team will cook peacock, wild boar, venison, and an array of salads and elaborate sweet dishes as they attempt to recreate an authentic Tudor feast. The team's first task is to bring the kitchen back into full working order for the first time in over 3 centuries. At Haddon Hall, as many as 3 wood fires would have been in regular use. Fonz and Hugh are attempting to relight the copper.
The copper is this, so called because it's a large copper dish that contains water, and it's used for boiling water. So you put your water on the top, you light fire underneath, you put a lid on top, you let it boil, and hopefully within a short space of time you have hot water. Right, going to have a go with the flint and steel now.
Flint, steel. Strike the two together and you get sparks.
Okay. A bit like a modern lighter.
Very much like it.
But where's the gas?
no gas. However, we have a piece of char cloth, a piece of fine linen cloth that's almost baked, really, really dry.
Right.
So hopefully it will take a spark quite easily from the flint. Happy with the theory?
I'm happy with the theory. It's not as easy as it looks.
No, unfortunately not.
Like most chores in the kitchen, lighting the fires was a slow and painstaking job.
You have a go. Right, so you've got that lit.
Mm-hmm. Just going to place it inside this bit of tow. Right. It's going, isn't it? Yeah. That's it. Just keep blowing really, really gently.
Working in the kitchens at Haddon Hall was a privileged position. Here, the cooks were almost all male. Men's wages were higher, so affluent households employed them as a status symbol. Women were often given the more menial tasks.
A household this size uses the most enormous amount of water. I mean, all your cooking water, all your washing water, all your drinking water, all your washing up water. It's all got to be collected by bucket and yoke. I mean, the yoke does help because it sort of spreads the weight onto your spine rather than hanging off your arms. And it stops the buckets banging against your legs.
Few houses had the luxury of piped water. The hall had to rely on both its natural resources and hard physical labour.
Much of the women's work at this time is really, really physical. You know, it's not, if you were some fey little thing who, oh, it's still delicate, you wouldn't last 5 minutes. You had to be physically strong. If you weren't, you couldn't get work, you know, you would go hungry. And when people hired servants, they looked at their physique to see that they were tough. They must have been pretty darn tough, actually. When you start doing this work, you know, it's absolutely exhausting. Water. It's pretty heavy stuff.
In the kitchen, Fonz and Hugh have brought the copper fire up to heat.
It's good heat, isn't it? Oh, yes. This is a very exciting moment for us, because this is the first time in over 300 years that these fires have been lit. We're looking forward to seeing how they do. So we have to get this under here quite soon, Hugh, won't we?
I think so.
Oh, hey, got it going. Fantastic. Oh, lovely. Good job there.
Got the water? Let's stick some in.
Cheers.
Right, I suppose wait for that to boil, and I can do my gelatine.
Not going to take long, is it?
No, not too long.
The kitchen at Haddon Hall was once the engine room of the entire house. Here, a butchery provided a constant supply of expensive meats and game. An adjoining bakehouse produced fresh bread and pies for the table, and highly skilled confectioners made elaborate sweet dishes with exotic ingredients. This was a food production line designed for the sole purpose of large-scale catering. Alex has been kneading dough all morning.
Shall I have a go at kneading that for you?
Oh, yes,
give it a bit of rest.
Please take over.
It's looking good. It's wet enough.
I never need bread making so knackering.
Oh, it's incredibly good for you. And the upside, of course, is the smell of hot bread. You can smell the yeast in there.
Yeah, I can.
And now the next bit, once we've given this a good stretch and got the gluten moving,
Yep.
you want to stick it in a bowl, cloth over the top, put it somewhere warm.
Can I put it next to the fire, yeah?
That'll do, that'll be fine. What we could do, though, if we were playing extremely ancient, is stick it outside under an apple tree.
Why not would I do that?
Apples have got natural yeasts on the skin. That's how you make cider. And if you put dough underneath a tree, it rises up quicker. That's even if you haven't put any yeast in yourself.
But this is not just kind of like an old wives' tale.
No, it works.
Backed up by science.
Yeah, but it would have been old wives by Tudor times. It's very, very ancient.
Right.
You've got brewer's yeast in here. That's going to make it rise up lovely.
Right.
And if we're really lucky, we're going to get a couple of dozen buns out of this. It's getting nice.
How's it feeling?
That's starting to push back now. Feel it. It's becoming less like pastry when you started and becoming more like a dough.
Right.
It's starting to spring back. It's rising up itself already. Yeah. Go on then, give that another go and you'll feel it's pushing back.
All right, yeah, I'm with you.
So it's bowl time, and then you just get to make the other two.
Another 2 of these?
That should sound right.
The water in the copper is at boiling point. For the first time in over 300 years, it is ready to be used.
For the feast, I'm going to make some jelly. Now, I'm more used to going to a supermarket and buying jelly in a packet. Whereas for this, I've actually got to extract my own gelatine. Now, gelatine is contained in the skin, in the bone, in the gristle of a pig's trotter. And in order to get it out, I've got to boil them for 8 hours. So I'm just going to pop these in.
Ruth is busy in the still room, a private area of the kitchen where all the work that involved cooking with sugar took place.
Sugar in the 1590s was 16 to 20 times the price of beef. So if you sort of go to the butcher's and think how much a pound of good beef is, you know, and sort of scale it up, you sort of find yourself thinking, a modern bag of sugar, that's about 300 quid, you know. Ah!
The kitchen staff were rarely trusted with the task of preparing the sweet dishes.
The work in here was actually done by ladies of the house. It might be the wife, it might be the lady of the house, or it might be her sister or other female relatives. If you allowed a servant in here, it would be under close supervision.
Following a surviving recipe from the period, Ruth is attempting to make a marchpane, an iced and gilded marzipan cake that only the very richest households could afford.
How to make a good marchpane. First, take a pound of long, small almonds, blanch them in cold water, and then take a cloth and dry them as dry as you can. And then it says that I have to stamp them small in a mortar. It then goes on to say that having reduced my almonds to ground almond powder, I've got to add in sugar that I've already ground. Oh, God, the labour. I can't tell you how long it's taken me. I've done one batch here in the bowl. I was about an hour and a half of pounding. I've got about 3 times that much to go. I'm on my second lot. My arms are killing me. So I think, to be honest, I might call in some labour from the boys. Help!
Alex!
Yeah?
Come give me a hand, could you?
Yeah, just a second. What can I help you with?
Oh, no, you couldn't just do a bit of pounding some sugar for me, could you?
Just pounding this, yeah? OK, so just going to grind it right down, yeah?
Yeah, I'll start your almonds.
Into a powder.
Yeah, like this one, look. That's...
Looks like flour.
Yeah, that's the point.
Oh, it's going to take me ages, Ruth.
Yes.
A lot of manpower, these sweets. Should I say woman power?
Yeah, they are, aren't they? It's oh, God, I'm going to be here forever.
Hosting large feasts was a regular occurrence in the great households of Tudor England. At Haddon Hall, over 70 servants lived and worked on the estate. Most were employed to provide the kitchen with a constant supply of fresh produce and meat. Released from his kitchen duties, Alex has joined Fonz to track down one of the centerpieces for the feast. They've met up with Anthony Salt, who's reintroduced wild boar to his Derbyshire farm.
OK, Anthony, it's taken us a while, but we've tracked them down. What are they doing up there? Are they feeding?
I think they're feeding in that little bit of a glade up there.
Right, but we're at a safe enough distance here, they are.
I think we are at a safe enough distance, yes. They do have a very keen sense of smell.
Right.
But their eyesight isn't too great.
Right. Right.
But obviously we're downwind, so they've not smelt us yet. Otherwise they'd be on the run.
Right.
The hunting of wild boar was a favourite pastime of the landed gentry. Their razor-sharp tusks and powerful jaws made them a formidable prey.
Are they a dangerous animal?
Yes, they can be very ferocious when cornered. I mean, you've got to remember, they're not like a domestic pig.
Right.
They're a wild animal.